Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show that I do that isn't Losercast. I keep having to forget the intros to each one of the different shows that I do. It's like a running gag at this point. This is Outlawed Thoughts. I've been doing this show longer than all of them at this point. I've gone from we're greeted here today by Eli. You're new to the channel. I think I've had you on Losercast briefly for a second there. We had some audio issues and stuff too, so it was kind of
it
weird.
didn't work out, but whatever.
Yeah, I've been on other shows with you too at this point and stuff, so thought it would be a good convo for this channel. Been haven't done a show on here in a little while, so people will probably be in the chat eventually once they start filing in, but I haven't gone live for a while, so there's always that kind of bit of a stutter. And I'm live on Twitter too, which I normally don't do with this channel either, so interesting. And I don't know the number of the episode either, because it's been a while since I've done a live stream on this channel, and because of that, I don't have my notes from previously, so I have no idea. I think we're probably in the low hundreds at this point, but I don't, somewhere around there.
Well, actually, speaking of my typical technical difficulties, can you just remind me again, how do I even open the live chat? Because, I just don't understand. What is it?
So it's under comments on here, and when you're on the phone, it has a different layout, but there should be a little area where it says like private chat and then comments, and you want to click the one that says comments. there's nothing in there yet. So, and I'll put a little test one in there now. So there's something there. So when you see that, I just left a comment on YouTube, so it should show up when you see them. If you click the play button, but you can mess around with it.
Chat?
Yes, there should be a button there that says comments or chat. I'm not sure how it looks on the phone because I'm on my computer at this point, so I can bring it up on my phone real quick and then tell you. Sorry about this.
YouTube doesn't like that account. I have 2 accounts.
Okay, there we go. So now you should be hearing me still, correct? Okay, so I'm on StreamYard here on my phone. Is this how it looks to you?
Well, I can't really.
Oh, damn it. Okay, well, everybody, these are the technical difficulties we deal with here on YouTube, and we're used to them, so I know how to tuck and roll. It's okay. I'm going to bring any of the chats that come in up on the screen anyway, so you'll get to see them through there. I'm not like, Indian already in the chat, it happens. All right, yeah. Always love the YouTube technical difficulties here.
Well, that's what it was saying, and also I'm kind of like a boomer about technology, so.
Oh God, I'm a mess, and the problem is that I'm good with audio, especially. That's typically my thing. Before I did any of the crap here, I did edit and do like audio editing as well for like YouTubers, not like small YouTubers, but like people who now have like tens of millions of subs, which is kind of cool to say, but like, so I am legitimately good at AV stuff and audio stuff, but less at video for sure, and the streaming stuff adds a whole different element to it. Shout out to Dave in the chat, and Indian over here on YouTube hanging out. Glad I got you on a Monday show. Yeah, it's really rare that we do these, so it's I'm trying to go live on this channel on Mondays again, because this used to be the day that I would always do Outlawed Thoughts or do some kind of weird mystery stream or come on and talk about oddities or something. Was typically what I would do on Mondays. So and then I started doing interviews. So this channel's had some wild interviews. I've got to talk to people. Again, I used to say I've had conversations with people I have no business having conversations with. That used to be I've had some pretty cool YouTubers on in the past and had some pretty neat, like, weird people in politics and academia and stuff like that. So
well, I will just like foremention, I'm like not a weird, cool YouTuber at all. I'm not going to provide that level of entertainment, but I can try.
I am. Everybody who watches this channel or has in the past knows my style of live streaming is pretty laid back. I don't have a super energetic like flaunt. I will get into stuff if I get laughing and going like that. People talk about the fact that I'm pretty loud. I am in person. If you've ever met me in person, I'm a pretty boisterous person. That also comes from the fact that I grew up in a family of like a massive family. So, and I don't know if I explained this to you, because I know I said this in the loser cast.
You mentioned this. You grew up in like a huge family.
So well, from like toddler age to 17 or 16, or well, 15, 16, I was in a 550 square foot one room cabin with a family of 7. So you're talking about pretty close quarters. We had bunk beds growing up, and growing up as in all into my teens, like that was just the way it was set up. So it was a very different kind of life, because we lived in a like just on a plot of land in the middle of nowhere kind of deal. Yeah.
You had to be loud or nobody would hear you ever.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, and we were always outside. We weren't indoors very often because if you were indoors, you were in a tiny cooped up fucking cabin. So we spent all of our time outside, and so because of that's why I know all the random like outdoor stuff that I do and can do a lot of that stuff is just because I learned it on my own or just did it through trial and error,
Yeah.
And so as a result, you get not like street smart, but like wood smart. And then I got street smart because then after that, I moved to Anchorage and Wasilla and places that had larger populations. And
Yeah.
I was always bigger. I mean, now I'm like 235. I used to be 340 pounds. Even when I was 340, I was big in a way that was still movable. I've never been non-limber. I've never been non-active. I've never been like one of those fat people that just sits at home. Even at my biggest 340, I was still walking around and going hiking with buddies and, walking a couple miles a day.
Yeah.
My diet was just god awful. And then once I fixed that, I dropped 100 pounds and it went like that without any drugs. Now I can't imagine if I wanted to take any of their crap they're giving everybody now to lose weight, I'd probably drop another 60 pounds. But at this point, I don't really want to.
Don't do it. Yeah.
No, I'm fine with the way I'm at now. And then if I want to drop another probably 20 and get down to like 220, 215 is really kind of my target. But I'm going to do that this summer, and it's going to be done through weightlifting rather than cardio like I did the last 100 pounds because I want to also get a little bit more muscle mass there because you lose a little bit of that when you lose the weight from the dietary stuff, you tend to lose a little bit of muscle, which is what I noticed.
Well, you might like this. One of my bosses, he hasn't told me this personally, but from what I've heard from like my other bosses, the carnivore diet has worked so tremendously for him. And he's very much on the carnivore diet right now. Like we even had a back and forth. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I had like a bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. And I was just like, oh, do you want to try some Flamin' Hot Cheetos? And he's just like, you know the answer to this. And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, what animal is it made out of? And I like looked at the bag and I was like, cheetahs? Yeah. But then I remembered he's on the carnivore diet. But apparently it really works for him because he does it the correct way. So is that like something that you
so I did like keto for like a month and a half. For me, I guess at this point, the thing that worked for me at least was elimination like dieting. So the concept of like basically if you look at each food you're consuming as a vice, right? As like almost an addiction thread, and then you get rid of each one of those as you go. So or you replace it with an alternative. But I think ultimately that keto or some type of carnivore diet is probably what I'd lean towards, because to be honest with you, typically when I want to cook for myself, what I'm typically cooking is protein and then, maybe one vegetable or one starch. So realistically, for carnivore, you're just cutting out that vegetable or the starch and replacing it with some kind of supplement, I think there's definitely benefits to it too. I have a brother who's diabetic, and then I have my dad is allergic to milk, eggs, and wheat. So
holy crap!
Yeah, my dad's story is wild.
Is he in therapy?
No, my dad's story is kind of wild because he grew up and he worked at one point as a railroad cleanup person. They had a big chemical accident here where they had these two train cars collide. So they sent in a bunch of people to clean it up. He was one of those guys, and it wrecked his lungs, wrecked his everything. So then later in life, he ended up with like really bad asthma, his COPD stuff now, and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, as a result, like he never had allergy issues really his whole life. And then suddenly in his really in his 40s, I suppose, he started getting stomach problems, and it got progressively worse into his 50s. And then by the time in all my childhood, pretty much, I remember him having pretty bad stomach problems at night, not you know yeah, more like just pain, like stomach pains and issues like that, and
Yeah,
it would
not
cause breathing problems.
gastrointestinal, but
Right.
cramping and yeah.
Exactly, and it would exasperate his breathing because he has all the asthma stuff, and so it was a bad
An
cycle.
allergy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so then he ends up going through all these doctors and stuff, and then it was actually because my mom got this doctor that she went to because she wanted to get, this was before she went off the deep end, and she
Mm,
wanted to go get a legal weed card because this is when they had just made medical weed a thing in Alaska, and she
yeah.
wanted to make sure she was legal so the cops couldn't really mess with her, and so she went to go get this card from this doctor. Well, the doctor was an allergen doctor, and that was like his
Okay.
specialty. And so he consulted my dad while he was in there taking my mom in there, and he said well, we lost that lady. Just give her a second. I'm sure she'll be back. There we go.
So sorry. I'm back.
No,
Continue.
you're fine. You don't have to apologize.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Oh.
So he was in in this appointment one day with this allergen doctor and said, "Hey, this is my issue." And the guy said, "Well, hey, come back in and we'll run like an allergen test." And he was the guy that sat him down and gave him this intensive allergen test where they take you in and give you all these different injections of things. And he told my dad, he said, "This is
Mm.
gonna suck. You're gonna hate this for the day. You're not gonna be able to do anything else today. I'm gonna give you you're gonna get a painkiller. You're gonna go home and you're gonna pass out for the day because this is gonna be rough." But they give you everything in one sitting, and
Yep.
then
I've done it twice.
yeah,
Mm.
and then they run through and do this whole gambit. And so they did the same thing with him, and they came back and said so he had an anaphylactic allergic reaction to milk, eggs, and wheat, and it developed because of his lung condition, and it
Hmm.
probably had been there for 15 years and he didn't know about it. So the whole time he was having all these stomach pains, it was because he was eating milk, eggs, and wheat.
Yeah.
How do you know to not, and he had an increased allergen reaction to pork. So he was eating a lot of pork too on top of it, and that was on the list of things he had an increased issue with. But the main things were milk, eggs, and wheat, and he's a baker, so his whole life that's
He
what
was
he
like,
does. So
oh
he's
my
eating his own, he's testing all of the food that he's making and doing all this, making coffee at his business, same deal, testing all of that with all the cream in it and everything. And you're in a
God,
position
his
where
whole life
everything you're
was
consuming
dairy,
is
meat,
poison.
and eggs.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now today when he stopped eating milk, eggs, and wheat, and he went that first 2 months, not only was his breathing condition and everything so much better, but he dropped in a year's time. He lost almost 100 pounds. He was probably 295, 300 at one point. And now he's probably 220, but
That's
I think he was
great.
probably
Yeah.
a little bigger than that at one point. And and the big thing was water weight, because when your body is in this constant battle of having these allergic reactions, it produces all this extra water weight. And
You get
so
a
I look back at old photos of my dad, and you realize it's not that he looks overweight, he looks genuinely almost bloated, unhealthy, yeah, because
yeah.
he's going through this weird allergic reaction on a constant, like you've been stung by bees almost.
Exactly. Yeah, the body will create edema, um edema, um or I think hematoma is only for breaks, acute injuries, but edema is the swelling of the body around areas that need to have heightened fluid flushing, more blood flow and circulation of red and white blood cells. So when it's almost kind of like how Trump has cankles, I'm sure you've seen the picture. It's inferring to a circulatory issue. It's a circulatory issue because the feet are kind of the end of the line for capillaries. The capillary switch off between.
Why you bleed from the feet if you cut your feet. I've done it before with a chainsaw. If you nick your feet or you do any damage, meaningful damage to your foot, I've had a nail through one of them too. It takes months to heal, right? Because not only is there constant movement, but the blood flow is consistent.
The blood flow, that's where it's like the lowest. Your feet is where you have the absolute risk of lowest blood pressure. So to have edema on the ankles, to have fucking cankles, essentially, that aren't adding up to the body mass, is indicative to a cardiac issue.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It's also logical if you think about it. Even, I mean, if you think about the circulatory system running up and down, you're like, well, of course it's down there, damn it. Where else is it going to go?
The feet are the hardest to get to. That's going to be
the same reason why
your body kind of freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason if you get tourniquets is the first thing. I mean, every time I've ever met a gun owner, it's the first thing that I always chastise my brothers, everybody about. It's the one thing I have in pretty much every bag I own or every car that I'm ever in is a tourniquet, because it's like, if you're somebody who carries a firearm, it's super easy to just attach a tourniquet to whatever holster you carry, and always have the ability to protect your extremities. The thing with like legs is it's like all your arteries, all that shit runs through your legs. I'm somebody who's had when you see me at Skankfest, you'll see it. I'll show you. But one of my legs is noticeably different looking than the other, and that's because I had this is a few years back. I was on the beach in Santa Monica. I've told those stories before, but
I haven't heard it.
Oh, I used to, my dad and me and a bunch of my family, this is sort of the last trip I took with my mother before she got institutionalized and went off the fucking deep end. So I went over there we landed in Seattle. This is a funny part of the story. We land in Seattle, and instead of renting a car, my dad takes $900 and he goes and buys this 1994 Plymouth minivan off of Craigslist. And so he goes to pick that up in Kent. Now it's got really low miles. It started at 102,000 miles. Okay. And so we go and pick this van up and we take it to a skate shop because my younger brother Dov wanted to buy a skateboard. And we take him to this famous skate shop in Seattle. And he buys this skateboard. And then while he's coming out, he goes to pull the sliding door of the van open where I'm sitting, and the entire door just comes off the track and drops onto the ground. The window didn't break. We duct taped this door back onto this van, and then my dad later spot welded it back onto the frame of the fucking van.
They welded it?
Yeah, it was just welded in place onto the van. You couldn't operate the door anymore. And so,
cares as long as it's on, because we don't want kids flying out the door.
Exactly. So,
you have to door on the other side, right?
It was one of those vans that had one sliding door on one side and one on the other. So we still had one side that worked.
So who the fuck cares?
We just welded the other shut. Now,
I'm so sorry. The right side doesn't have their own designated door. You'll live.
What's even wilder about that
I would lift up the hatch. I would be the type that I would just lift up the because you know how the hood, the back would raise up and everything. I'd be like, you kids got all four limbs. Let's fucking go. Climb out the back. You love the monkey bars, right? You can handle.
I climbed out the back of that van in that trip before because we had a spare tire blocking the door one time, and I just got out the back to use the bathroom at a rest stop.
Oh my god! Oh yeah.
No, that trip was wild. We drove that van a total when we dropped that. By the way, we got rid of that van by leaving it with a random person in Seattle with the keys and the title and just gave it to her. So, but by the time we were done with the van, we had put through that road trip around the US, me and my dad and everybody in there had put 9 tires on it, and we drove about 31,000 miles in total. So we started at 102,000 miles, ended at somewhere like 136 or 134, something like that.
Yeah.
1,000 on it, and then just gave it to, I think it might have been my cousin who ended up with that. That's a whole nother sidetrack, because that was a cousin. We adopted her kid, and then she went off to Seattle. We adopted her kid. She went off to Seattle, did a bunch of fucking drugs, and disappeared. And then we needed her to do paperwork for the whole adoption crap because her other fucking family was poking around, and we didn't really care for them very much, and that was the whole side thing. And so we had to go get her to sign paperwork. So me and my father had to trudge through this place called the Zoo in Seattle, which is like the homeless encampments.
Okay, I was gonna say it wasn't a zoo by the context. It was a different
there
kind
were
of
enough rats there for it to be a zoo. It was insane, man. I mean, there was a point in that trip where I'm going up there to go get people, and I'm going with my dad because my dad can handle himself very well. You'll see him at Skankfest. I bought him a ticket, so he's going. But he's, you know, he used to box back in the day, so even though he's older, he has that look of somebody who can, like, you know, he can scrap.
Don't
so
fuck with him.
You know, but I'm also bigger back then, and so I went up there with him to be like, you know, we're walking through this kind of nasty place, and so we're both pretty heavily armed at that point, you know, going through Seattle, and
as one should be.
We're going up there, and I shit you not, there's this part in the pavement blockades between the highway where these concrete barriers are, and there's this concrete that's like cracked, and there's these cracks that are like, you know, probably like 2 foot and a half across, and so you'd have to kind of go around them back onto the highway to get past those cracks. Well, at one point, me and my dad are going up to this hill where there's one of these cracks, and we look into the crack, and my dad bumps me on the shoulder and goes, "Look at that." And I look down, and we're watching, it's just a stream of rats going in and out of these cracks in the fucking highway and pouring into the hillside and then out into the highway system and then back out into the hillside. It's like, oh my God, man. It looked like something out of a horror movie. Like, it was insane.
I wanna interject because I'm not sure. Like we've texted, we've had conversations. Did I tell you that like I'm a big rat fan?
My grandmother is. She grew up with them as pets, and so I've
had so many rats. I do want to differentiate the difference between like fancy rats. They're domesticated rats. I'm sure you know the difference.
Yeah.
The pet rats.
Domesticated ones always had big asses that my grandmother would show me.
They do. They have such fat booties. Yeah. So I've been like they go badass. I currently don't have any rats because I had 2 girls and my last girl died like a handful of months ago, and I was kind of like, all right, I need a break. But I'm kind of concerned because of the difference between like pet rats versus wild rats. You know,
the ones in Seattle they were leaner. They were skinnier and darker. Yeah. They looked more like the wild ones that I've seen.
And there is a thing with them, like you still have to give them respect. They are very intelligent, they're very social. They're like
and there's so many of them over there too. It's like they're their own ecosystem.
They're survivors. Yeah. And they're omnivores. You know, they eat pretty much like they're very particular about what they eat. They actually get taught by their their older generations what is safe to eat and what isn't. So rats are actually very particular. Even the wild rats, they're very like suspicious of anything that they're not familiar with. So I just like
there was a guy on Reddit once, and this is old school Reddit. This is probably 2012, 2013.
Yeah, right after high school. You might know it.
He documented dumpsters around New York City and which dumpsters rats would or wouldn't eat out of. And he found out that all the rats wouldn't eat out of the Chinese food restaurant dumpsters. that was basically the finding of his thesis.
Shit. Yeah, they'll go to the Italian place. They'll go to the place that has whole ingredients. They love that. They hang around the farms, but
what is this?
We're not eating American Chinese because none of these ingredients actually exist in the natural world. Rats understand that.
I'm also just picturing rats going through the Chinese food dumpster and realizing they're like breaking into a piece of what looks to be fried chicken, and then they get halfway through it and realize this is Jerry. this is Greg. Like, I know this guy. That's my cousin.
This was the cat that chased me through the alley. We were finally starting to get along. Oh, that's so fucked. Oh my god. I do love me some Chinese.
Rats are above cannibalism at that point.
And I've seen some cannibalism with like domesticated rats, but even for wild rats to know, holy shit, I'm not eating that. That's incredible. Oh my god, I have not heard of that. That's so funny.
My grandmother liked rats and stuff, and so I never had too much of a problem with them. I don't like mice. The smaller ones are a little more.
No, mice are difficult.
Mice are difficult. Ferrets, though. I had 2 ferrets. I had a ferret named Cheech and Chong, and they were my favorite. And I do want to get ferrets again when I eventually get like a new place that can like, I can't have pets here. And so I've wanted to have a dog and ferrets for a while now, and I haven't been able to do it. But I used to have 2 ferrets named Cheech and Chong. They were the best. They were brothers that came from the same litter. They never bit a person, never had a bad interaction their whole life. My brothers would hang them upside down, and
they're like monkey cats.
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah, monkey cat toddlers.
They have the mentality, honestly, of small dogs. I mean, they would curl up on your chest and go to sleep, and you just, sit on your couch. And
I had Lena, my ferret, Lena, used to sleep right here, and then my ferret Zuko used to sleep in between my legs like a cat, and then I had a ferret Obi, and he used to sleep up against my side. Yeah, I used to do ferrets too, and honestly, and I didn't put them in a cage. Originally, I used to have them in like a critter nation, like a 2-story critter nation.
I did too.
I realized if you basically like child-proof, like ferret-proof your home,
exactly,
and let them live in your house like cats. You put down like some puppy pads in their particular potty areas, but my female, she would use like a low-rise litter box. She had no problem with it. And
I had 2 males, and they would do the same thing. We originally had like a little 3-story, cage thing.
Like up here.
Yeah, it had tiers to it, and what we did was we put these little hammocks that they make in there for them, and that's where they would sleep most of the time. But then eventually we realized that they really liked hanging out on the couch and kind of chilling with people.
Yeah, they want to be in your bed, be on the couch.
These ones,
they want to bite your socks while you're cooking dinner.
Yeah, and they were deglanded, so they didn't have like the smell problem. And if they don't have the smell problem, then it doesn't really matter. It's not going to make it. It's just like having a dog hanging around. They'll use puppy pads, like you said. They really do.
Yes,
they get good at it.
They do. They like the puppy pads, and especially like because I don't have a sense of smell. I was just like, I don't know, whatever. Oh, Zuko, you fucking Airbender fangirl. Yeah, you have no idea. It's so goddamn bad. Ask me any question about Avatar: The Last Airbender right now. Like, dude, that is my favorite fucking show. Anyway,
I grew up with the cartoon. That was the best.
I threw a shoe at a girl because Sozin's Comet Part 1 and Part 2 were playing. They were like on Nickelodeon while I was camping with me and my best friend. So we were in the rec room of the campground to watch Sozin's Comet. And there was this other kid, and we were just like, oh, hey, we need to use the TV. And he was like, yeah, I do too. And we were like, well, it's like a finale of a show that we're watching. And he's like, me too. And we're like, Avatar: The Last Airbender? He's like, yes. And we're like, oh, shit. So the three of us just watched it together. And there are these really annoying teenage girls that are playing at the ping pong table. And they were being loud and obnoxious and stupid. So I took my sandal off and I hucked it at. I had already asked them like 2 times, like, hey, this is really important. We're watching a show right now. Like, can you guys just, like, there's a volleyball court outside. They didn't want to listen. It felt like they were getting more annoying. So I took my sandal off and I, like, hucked it at them to shut them up. And they left because Avatar: The Last Airbender was that fucking important to me. Okay.
It worked.
It worked. Oh, yeah, they left. They thought I was psychotic. They might have not been wrong at the time, but I'm medicated now, so like not I probably wouldn't throw a shoe at 15-year-old children these days, but back in the day, hell yeah.
American forces in Iraq, a withdrawal that is possible because of the success of the surge.
جنوده وجنود الولايات المتحدة والمدنيين فإننا نقترب كثيرا من هذه النهاية.
شكرا جزيلا.
I thought that clip was fitting.
I love that he didn't give a fuck. He didn't care. Oh my god. Like, he kind of like chuckle, like he had a, like once he popped back up and realized he was fine, like he kind of like smiled and laughed and was just like, what the fuck was
that guy who threw the sandals later went back to his country, became kind of a well-known political figure, and was on like the Scott Horton show, and is on the Scott Horton show all the time. So that guy's like still around through the shoes.
It's fine. I mean, that's like it kind of went down like that, but I hit my mark and got what I wanted. They left because we needed to watch the Avatar: The Last Airbender finale. It was obviously like it. My dad, because it was just me and my dad when I was like a teenager, like preteen into
Same
like
here.
a teenager. Yeah, it was just me and dad, and he would come home from work, and don't get me wrong, like he has 2 engineering degrees. He's a wicked nerd. We'd watch like History Channel and Mythbusters and Dirty Jobs nonstop together.
I grew up watching that, and
Yes.
Deadliest Catch.
Deadliest, oh my god. Oh yeah. So that was like my whole upbringing, and watching The Matrix every 2 months. We'd watch The Matrix.
My dad's into old westerns, and stuff like that, and action movies. And my dad's weird because I consider my dad legitimately probably one of the smartest people I've ever interacted with, and I've met a lot of people who are like legitimately high IQ people. I've hung out with all these bigwig like libertarian types and stuff. But the reason I put him on that pedestal is because my dad didn't have degrees and stuff. My dad went to trade school for like, auto mechanics and like
That's what my dad did. Yeah.
Yeah, but
He was an engineer in like the 80s and 90s before you actually had to have a degree for it.
Mhm.
He didn't go back to school until I think I was like 9. He had to go back to school to get certification in CAD.
Oh, the modern stuff. Yeah, that's what my dad didn't
but
do.
until
My dad
then,
didn't
he
do
was
that.
he was at the
My dad
fucking
stuck with
drawing
the-
board, like he
my
was
dad-
drafting.
If you've got a like 60, if you got a vehicle from the 1920s to the early 2000s, my dad can pretty much take it apart and put it back together. But when it comes to anything past that, he's gonna have to look it up. Because he hasn't worked on the newer shit as much as he has the old stuff. My dad always had a classic car. My father was hit. I mean, that was one of the big like shifting points for him, like health wise, was he right around the time that he found out about his allergy stuff. He was there's footage of it I've played on the show before, and I could go dig for it. But it's basically he's standing behind a '73 Cadillac he used to drive, and there's a tank. You pump the gas behind the gas tank, like behind the plate. So he's pumping you have to stand behind it to pump the gas. So he's pumping the gas behind it, and a drunk girl who was in a Jeep Cherokee came up behind him in the pump behind him, and then just gunned it into him. So like crushed his knees and like knocked him out good on the back of the thing. It ends up being
income like that too. Not
yeah, there were back then that was pretty
like,
common. Yeah, back then it was pretty
like
common.
Ford
Especially
Pinto was like similar.
Lincolns had it too. There were a bunch of Lincolns that did it, town cars and stuff.
Fuck Lincoln. Like I kind of started to hate the way that they turned out of the classic car.
We had a 1974 Mark IV, same one that Snoop Dogg had when I was a kid, and we painted it 24 karat gold. It was cool. That was a fun ride. We always had a classic car. My mom had a 1965 Oldsmobile hearse, one of 20 ever made. It was a really cool ride.
I always wanted a hearse.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a.
Well, that one was cool because it had
a limited edition.
That had a 429 big block in it. So it had a giant fucking engine in this hearse. So you could get that hearse up to like 120, 125 miles an hour. It was insane. It was a giant spaceship.
And like nobody's fucking with that, because if you get hit by something like that with that framework, with that drivetrain, your car is wrecked. Your car is so goddamn totaled. Like nobody's riding that ass.
I always wanted to convert that into a like camper. That was always my idea. Was to build a casket that turned into a bed in the back.
If you do so there are actually, because I'm really into car camping. That's actually like I have some equipment for it.
I love it. It's such a cool. The car camping's great. Like we used to have a Jeep, this big lifted Jeep, and me and my dad had the setup that you put on the top of it, and then it drapes over the side, so you have a tent on the side and the top,
and turns into. It's like a tent, so you still have like the bed. You fold everything down, everything's in place. You put your bags in the passenger and the driver's seat at night, and then the whole bed, once the seat is out or folded down, that's your mattress, that's your bed space. But you can get the attachment tent now, where it's like that's where you put your I guess like Depending on where I am, I'm not going to put my cooler and my food there because I don't know if a bear decides, hey, I want your fucking ham.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I'd
don't
rather tie
camp.
it up in a tree. I'm gonna
This is
tie
an
it up.
Alaska thing too, and everybody like
Yeah.
I can't do it because we're on a live stream, but like I've done videos before where I've had videos where I've shown off some of the stuff, but like every time I hike, I have a 44. That's what I hike with because it's just like bears are a thing here, and like it's like you're always kind of leery of that. The other thing here we have is moose, and moose are almost worse than bear because they'll just run into you.
I prefer a bear over a moose. Can I just take a second? I gotta pee.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I'll be right back. But yeah, I'd actually like to talk about the animal science of bear versus moose because, as I told you, I have a bunch of questions.
We'll go over some of your questions here when you get back.
Yes. Yeah. I have many of them.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to play a song in intermission. So I'm going to play a song by friend of the show, Riley Young Clipper, who's been on just last week. So when this is over, we'll be back in just about 2 minutes. This is not the end of the show.
Summer, got his goggle on the side of the crib. Porch boards, pour more warmth in the moles. I hit rain, pitter, patter, patch patterns in the flaked off red. People peeled to our field trip in the dead. Back door, a cracked jaw, rushed in, singing the blues. Spider web, mezzanine, the kitchen changes are new. Mail slot, coughing out coupons, rain perfume blooms. Roof leaks, lead speak, drip, strips in the moon. That chip coat talking to me, mocking me, good. Every curl of that prime reminds me of time as it should. Red layer of ruin, more gray, lay in between. If we could, if we did, I know you know what I mean. Mud print, hieroglyphs, track back where we stood. Two ghost toast, cheap merch class on cheap wood. Pass yourself around more, Olympic track torch. While I watch the paint peel off the back porch. Watch the paint peel off the back porch. Shelter turning into just another sad corpse. Shingles, little gravestones now where the rain treads. You took everything, left me with nothing but the blame. And kitchen life slicks like you think about leaving me too. Motivation get lost for by believing in you. Floorboards complaining the places we used to fuck. The great magnet braced me for this, but you're out of luck.
Shout out to Young Clipper for that great song. I get to use it on this channel because I asked his permission because I'm not a piece of shit, but he's a great musician, actually putting out decent music now, which is cool. Gonna get to see him when I'm over in Kentucky, so it'll be cool to get to chill with him.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Lights out.
Trying to figure out the lighting situation.
Yeah, I've got mine down to a science. I went down to a thrift store here locally, and I walked into a place. They had a bunch of these lights sitting in a jar, and they had them all for sale. And I'm like, I recognize those. So I bought the whole box and brought them home and realized that they were all Philips Hue, like programmable lights that are like a pair of them is like $120, and I have like 6 of them now, and I paid like $15 for them. So I got a really good deal. So now I have like pretty good lighting. I think it looks good. I could make it brighter on my face by using this extra one that I have over here, but I don't just because I don't know, it almost is too bright. I
feel like I don't know, with like being a girl, I'm supposed to use like a ring light camera. Oh my goodness.
I used to have one of those ring lights. The problem with them is if you wear glasses like I do, they reflect way too much. The way these, you can see the bars. If you look, you can see the light bars that are here. I have one here, and then I have one over here, and they're just sitting in front of me, so you can see them in my glasses. But if I were to use a ring light, you'd really notice it. It looks like it goes wherever your pupils are. So it just looks like you're
like an alien.
Yeah, like, and because I have glasses. If you don't wear glasses, it works great. I mean, you can.
Yeah. Like what I'm using right now, this is actually my my art light for like, because I'm at my my art desk, and so I'm just trying to like adjust the settings outside of like I have a every time I plug it in, it's my my programmed what I like to draw under. So then I'm like grabbing the remote and trying to like adjust it to like not get like a ring light. I just picked my nose. Not a ring light effect, but something where it's like, oh, I'm on camera. Let me actually look like a decent human being. Does that make sense?
Definitely. You got. I've had a struggle with lighting, but I mean it took me forever to like figure out. Also, changing this background helped.
Yes. Well, I want to ask you about that. That was a part of my questions. Was fun facts about the background or the props. Are they random conversation or do they have meaning? Because I did notice you have those sexagonal pieces.
These I actually plan on eventually pinning stuff that I pick up at festivals onto there. If you look up here, there's a little. Well, actually, here I'll do it this way.
Yeah.
Go up. So you can see up here, there's this is a sticker. This is of a little lamb holding a Glock pistol. And then here, and then this one's holding a map. These are from Josie Marcelino, the comedian from Skankfest. And then I've got the golden ticket back here.
Yeah.
The hexagons themselves are just there actually to be used to peg stuff to, because you can use thumbtacks on them.
Right.
They're like a felt material. What I used to have behind me, which is a little more sentimental, is I have these, and I still have them all over here, so I'll pull them out. I used to have these behind me, and eventually I'll put them back in the background. But I have a bunch of these. These are old. This is a company called Super Kula, black cherry soda, and this soda company that existed in Alaska back in the like early 1900s. So these are cans from, I think, the 1930s. So the way they pop on the can, it's a spout, and you'd have this little metal tab you pulled off on the top. So it's kind of cool. So I used to have these in the background. And then I had
metal material, though. Do you know, like, was it aluminum or like?
I think those ones are actually steel, because you can see they're rusted to hell and back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what are we looking at here? Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to drink out of that today for sure.
No, maybe not.
And then I had these. So I made these myself, and I used to have these in the background, and eventually I'm going to put them back in. But these are all little posters that I made using this antique paper crap that I ordered. So this one was my original. This is the first logo for the channel back in the day.
I like it.
And then I've got, this is Soapy Smith.
Okay. So they're
Soapy
like
Smith,
wanted posters.
yeah, kind of that vibe. Soapy Smith was a guy who was sort of the unking crowned of Skagway, Alaska. He was a criminal who came from the lower 48. He was actually like at one point given a badge by some fucking defunct sheriff in one state and stuff, and went around, and he was criminal. He was famous for creating the soap scam, where he would tell people there was $100 bill hidden in soap, and he would sell them all this soap and stuff.
Oh my
Right,
god,
so he
I
got-
heard about this.
So he
It
got
was
this
so-
nickname. Yeah, so he got this nickname, Soapy Smith. He comes up to Alaska. He buys off a bunch of like officers and stuff, and creates his own little posse, and bought up a bunch of like dining halls and bars and stuff in Alaska. And well, the problem was he kept robbing miners who were coming back with gold. You know, he'd bilk them from their money. This eventually pissed off enough people in the town that a railroad crew and a mining crew got together and put together a posse of people that met on a wharf one day on Skagway, and Soapy Smith marched down to the wharf with his 30-30 rifle to go confront him. And the town engineer,
yes,
the town engineer, a guy named Frank Reed, who was told to guard the pier, confronted each other. Soapy Smith pointed his rifle, he pointed his gun, the two of them exchanged fire. Frank Reed was shot through the groin and through the leg, I think, and then Soapy Smith was shot through the heart, and he died instantly. The engineer Frank Reed died about a month later in the hospital from his injuries, and he was treated like a king when he died. He was buried at a in the church grounds and stuff there in Skagway, whereas Soapy Smith was buried on non-congregated ground outside of the city, and was like, yeah, he was seen as
he was buried like a prostitute.
yeah, literally, yes, literally that. And then I got this one I did, which is UFO spot in Alaska. That was just a fun one. I got Alaska, the Last Frontier. A lot of these haven't been around for a while. I got In the Fed.
And oh my god, that's in my stupid Twitter bio. I do the and the Fed and like a cute little emoticon.
I've got the Committee of 101. This is the group that shot him. The Committee of 101 was the group that was formed to protect the town of Skagway, and then that's what Skagway looks like
at that time.
This is a very old photo. Yeah, I found the oldest photo I could find, you know. And then the last two I have here are interesting. This is a guy named the Irish Prince, or the Bull Moose. He's an interesting character. He's the guy who built the White Pass Railroad, which was the rail that got the gold rush started in Alaska and allowed all of the places to be basically built. He was an Irish guy who lived in Canada, who ran away from home when he was like 14 and like was obsessed with working for the railroad, and he convinced these Brits that were trying to build a rail line that had been told it wasn't possible. His famous quote is, "You give me enough dynamite and snooze and I'll build you a railroad to hell." But he's the guy who completed the White Pass line, which is still in operation to this day. And it is an insane thing that he managed to do, because when you look at that on a map or you go look up videos or photos of it, it is insanity.
Like, we're looking at transcontinental, like, part 2.
I was just building through snowy mountains and canyons.
Yeah,
Alaska,
like the amount of
time,
shit we had to like excavate. Okay, so with that, what time frame was this railroad built? Like, is this like early 1900s?
This is late 1800s to the early 1900s that they're expanding rail lines here. I want to say the White Pass. Yes, I want to say the White Pass lines probably started in 1890 something, somewhere in there.
Well, I was going to ask, like, so did he have, like, because our industrial revolution in New England started around the same time, where we started doing mass manufacturing. The assembly line was invented by Henry Ford in the early 1900s. So Henry Ford, as in like Ford truck,
Right. Oh yeah.
Model T and everything. So we started getting the assembly line. I was wondering if, because he's Irish and we had a very heavy Irish what do I want to say? Like
Immigration.
Not a demographic. It wasn't so much a demographic, it was more of a population.
Well, in regards to the railroads, Irish people, especially in the Pennsylvania lines and those companies, were often not there by choice. There was a lot of Irish servitude that was taking place. In fact, if you look in Pennsylvania today, they're still to this day finding grave sites, unmarked graves of Irish rail workers that were basically just tossed to the side when they were done with them. It was a very dark period. A lot of the Irish that came to Alaska came through Canada, and they came here because of that, because they weren't getting proper treatment in the rest of the US. And the message they were getting from Alaskans were mostly messages that were being put out in papers and things like that, saying, hey, we need employees, we need people who know how to work land, because at this point there were not that many settlers in Alaska. Most of the ones that were here were coming over from sort of no man's land, Canada, those areas, places from the other areas of the US.
Yeah.
And the truth about them, a lot of the settlers here being criminals is frankly accurate. A lot of the people who came here early on were people who were getting away from the hustle and bustle of cities and other areas, the same way it is to this day. And a lot of those people were frankly criminals. I mean, to this day, I grew up in a town in Big Lake where it was just an open secret that, a lot of people around there, I'm sure, had warrants and had things like that in other states. And they were there because they knew there weren't many cops and they could lay low and live in their house and no one bother them. And that was just the way it was. Same deal with Alaska. We were one of the first states to really kind of legalize pretty much all drugs in a sense, because it still is this way to this day. The cops cannot just come in your home based off of drugs. They have to have something.
We don't have cops. Yeah.
Well, no. Like in general, we if you're on your property in the state of Alaska, the police are not allowed to search your home simply for drugs. You can't be. They have to have something else. So the reason that is because Alaska did something that none of the other states had done, which is they had the concept of extending castle doctrine. The idea that castle doctrine allowed you to be able to protect your home at all costs. This concept of, if you presented a threat to me or my house, my castle, my vehicle is also my castle, this is an extension of my property kind of thing. That all existed here. The cops here and the legal people here said, well, wait a minute, shouldn't castle doctrine extend to drugs and all this stuff too? Like if you're a cop and you're standing on the street shooting up or doing drugs, obviously that person should be arrested or accosted or dealt with. But if you're in your home and you own the property and it's private and you're a private citizen, well, then how do we have the right to intervene? And so they decided they didn't. And so for years here, back even in the 70s, it was basically seen like, well, weed's kind of legal because they can't really harass you unless you get caught doing something else, And so that was sort of the lay of the law here, and still is for a big part of the state. I mean, unless you're in the city.
I only get drunk in my own home.
I'm the same way. I don't go to bars often unless I'm with people. I have to be going to do something,
Well, this is a really interesting fact to bring up. So last Friday, I did go to a bar, and oddly enough, I asked this guy if I could pet his dog because he had an old 13-year-old black lab named Juno. Turns out named after the capital of Alaska, and a whole conversation transpired. It ended up this guy was from Alaska, named all his children after points in Alaska, and he's like dead set. It's Mark from the bar, as I call him. Just this old dude in like a wool sweater, very insistent that like you have to go visit Alaska while you're still young, while you're still ready. Like, do it.
I suggest people do it while they're young. I do suggest people do it when they have time, because the problem with Alaska, and I warn people of this, and it is a legitimate, real thing, that,
Yes.
is that Alaska it has a way of making people want to stay longer, and so people
Yeah, my
stay.
dad.
People often get here to Alaska going, oh, I'm going to spend 4 or 5 days, or I'm going to spend a week, and you get here and go, I'm going to be here a month or two. And so I always tell people, like, it's such a huge place. It's literally like going to another country. You really need to allot a little bit of time to kind of, at least a week, if not 2, to get around. You're going to do a lot of driving and a lot of traveling in between, or flying, depending on how you want to do it. But it takes a while.
I work in aerospace, so I'm not like the biggest fan of, like, I'll fly there, but then after that, I feel like unless I'm doing like seaplanes, I'm really weird about flying because
Have you ever done a bush flight?
Haven't yet, but I'd be down for it. But I feel like every I feel like every flight line that's like in between, like a seaplane and JetBlue, everything in between is like it. I'm sorry, I know people that actually work on these parts, and they're all fucking retarded. So
yeah, so I mean, I'll be honest with you. Alaska's sort of famous for, we have the most private airstrips and the most airstrips in the entire United States. We have the most amount of private pilots and private plane owners per capita in the whole United States. And we have the busiest shipping terminal and busiest airport in the entire United States. But the truth is a lot of the craziest people I've met in my life have been pilots here. But some of the people I've met here that are the most capable are some of the bush pilots I've met. These guys will take little Cessna Cubs out and land on these little 75-foot little gravel, little paths that they've made in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, safely. Like that's kind of how I feel about like being like I was previously, like, I've done a lot of rock crawling. I've been like a rock crawler for like off-roading. So I'll hit certain areas where like my ex-roommate hated how I would drive. She hated it.
I love that kind of shit.
Where I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like, we're fine. Why are you being such a bitch? Oh, because you grew up in a city.
Everywhere here has dirt roads, and like everywhere, I mean, there's only the highway is really pavement. Everywhere else is dirt. I mean, so
it's just like, this is a class 5. No rocks hit the suspension. They didn't hit the frame. I'm not fucking worried. And yeah, like,
no, I like that.
So I like prefer that kind of pilot over, I think it was like my last time out of Florida. This guy was fucking nuts. He was like so into just being funny over the PA.
Clearwater, Florida is my worst flying experience of my life.
Oh my God, it was Florida. It was
Yeah.
fucking Florida. And oh my god, his landing was so like unskilled and psycho. Like
I
I
was
almost hit my
flying.
head off the seat. I was just like, Jesus.
I'm flying to Tampa to do the Matthew Cox show. Shout out to Matthew Cox. Still the biggest thing I've ever done on the internet. Matthew Cox is he was ex America's Most Wanted. He was
What?
dude, the fact that I did this show is wild. I'm gonna bring this up. So I'll bring up
Okay, all right, go ahead.
I'll bring up the episode. Yeah, so I got to do this show just because he wanted to talk about Joe Vogler, which that was the last of the posters I had here. So this is the guy that I'm probably the most famous for talking about.
Yes.
But this
I
is
saw that was like, brought up.
yeah, I can show you. I'll show you the intro to the documentary and stuff. But basically, Joe Vogler, I've written about him for a number of years now. He was a political figure here who came out of the post-World War II era. He tried to create a movement of sort of pro-independence here. He created his own political party and stuff in the 70s, around the same time as the Libertarians. And his primary goal was to get a vote in Alaska on state independence, because he thought that we got a raw deal in the way that we were brought into the Union, along with Hawaii and a number of other states that kind of got shafted at the end of everything. Weren't given the same rights. Did you freeze? Oh, we might have lost Eli. So give me one moment here. And I don't know if I've lost everybody, but I think I just lost her. So give me one moment. Dude. Yes, we definitely lost Eli. So oh, there we go.
Okay.
You're all good. Where
All
did
right,
you drop out at? What was I saying? Okay.
Crap. It was
No,
at a weird spot. Just keep going.
No, it's no big deal. I kind of lost my train of thought. That's why. But we were talking about shit. Was it the
Yeah, I got like distracted. I don't know. It like cut out.
Hindi and you were listening? What was it that I was just talking about?
Well, I have ADHD, so please don't ask me that.
Yeah, so Joe Vogler was a political figure who came over after World War II, and he created a political movement that was pro-independence. That was sort of his whole idea. He wanted to have a vote on Alaskan independence. He created this whole party, built up a pretty decent sized movement at the time, and then in the 80s, he decided that he was going to try to. I had somebody join the studio, but I don't remember putting the link out. Who is Hodge?
Oh, don't add. That's
Just listening. Okay, don't worry about it.
else.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the I did this whole documentary on him because I started doing research into his death. So I was looking at the time, I was doing a lot of these like little mini documentaries on just interesting things about Alaska, and I was researching people who had gone missing here, people who had died in weird circumstances or whatever. And I heard his name come up, and I had heard his name from politics, because I was involved with political stuff over here. And I was like, well, this is interesting. So I started really kind of digging into the story. And then I started interviewing people. And now it's like 4 years later, and I've interviewed probably 50 plus people connected to his disappearance and death, and then people who just were involved in the politics back then. I interviewed a couple prison guards and people like that who were involved with his the person who supposedly killed him, Manfred West, who's in prison not too far from me. But it's just an interesting little blip in Alaskan history, weird stuff. But yeah, I was on Cox's show forever ago. Let's see if I can find that. I think Eli froze again, so we'll give her a second. Sometimes StreamYard has issues with the internet.
Sorry, I was talking about you mentioned a prison.
Yeah, he was in a prison near Seward here. The guy who was charged and convicted with killing Vogler is in prison here not far from me. And
Okay.
and I've interviewed a number of people.
I feel like every time I've like looked up Alaska and like delved into it, it's almost like a tourist spot for prisons. Is that accurate?
Yeah, there's a lot of prisons here, and then a lot of the prisons that are here, a lot of people want to get transferred here because it's just a better environment, better air quality, things like that. So that happens quite often. But we also have, like, I mean, famously, we had a lot of serial killers and people like that here in Alaska. So a lot of those people all get locked up here too. And, we had Hansen, who's probably the most famous. He's the guy who they made the Nicolas Cage movie about and stuff like that. And he was a weird character who just recently died.
Nicolas Cage only plays weird characters.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He does a good job of that.
Yeah. Are you pulling?
I'm looking for, real quick, I was going to bring up the episode I was on with Matthew Cox. I'll find that in a second, but I'll show you the intro to that Joe Vogler documentary that I made, because it has a quote of his that is the quote that's on that poster I just showed you, actually. This right here is the documentary that I made. You'll also see a much older, fatter version of, or much younger, fatter version of me in this video, briefly.
Fine.
And then you begin to wonder, and finally you say, why? Why do I owe that country anything? What they've done to my state, my country, what they're doing to it every day. They don't even give you time to forgive and forget. They come along with another regulation. But you get to thinking, well, why the hell do I owe them anything? And then you get mad. And you say the hell with them. And you renounce allegiance, and you pledge your efforts, your effects, your honor, your life to Alaska. That's how I do. I'm an Alaskan, see. And they know it. I've told them so, to go to hell in every way I can, in a nice way. I took a case to the Supreme Court, believing in the Supreme Court, that I'd rather be tried in a whorehouse with a madam as a judge. There's more justice. And if they don't like it, they know where they can go. I tried it. I believed in my country. I believed in the court system, and it stinks. They don't pay you for property rights they take away from you. We have patented ground that we haven't been able to use for 8 years. We put $300,000 in over there, and it's locked up, locked up for 8 years. My wife and I had a good time there. We didn't take 300, 400, 500 ounces out, a couple of kids. We had a good time there. They taken 8 years of our lives. She'll never be able to go back to the creek with me. And if you think I'm ever going to forget that, the fires of hell are frozen glaciers compared to my hatred for the American government. And I won't be buried under their damn flag. I'll be buried in Dawson. And when Alaska is an independent nation, they can bring my bones home, back to my country.
In 2008, John McCain chose Sarah Palin as his running mate. Picking her for vice president was a black spot in his entire campaign. By choosing her, the media didn't even need to attack him because Palin was an easy target that had few political friends, unlike McCain. There was plenty to criticize about John McCain, trust me, but the media had their orders. Take out Palin and in turn take out the entire McCain-Palin campaign. As it's a colorfully named porn, Who's Nailin' Palin or endless SNL skits weren't enough. The left and right both used her previous association with the AIP, or Alaskan Independence Party, to destroy her on the basis of being a radical secessionist. Many quoted the party's late founder, a man named Joe Vogler. Not a single one of those mainstream talking heads bothered to talk about Joe with anything other than hate and uneducated taunts. Most made comparisons to neo-Confederates and other groups not aligned with the AIP in reality, but it didn't matter as long as it was close enough and sounded good on TV.
So the McCain camp is...
By the way, this is exactly why I hate Max Blumenthal, and every chance I get, I tell him to suck my cock sideways. This guy is... Max Blumenthal, it takes a lot to get me legitimately angry at a human, but the fact that that little slimeball fag is allowed to slink his way back into mainstream media by branding himself as a leftist or a libertarian or whatever he needs to snake around with the group.
Yeah, no.
The guy's gross. Because Max Blumenthal
is playing the association game than previously reported. Want to know what the party's hatred for the American...
Now keep in mind, Joe Vogler went missing in the early 90s. Joe Vogler's body was found with a bullet hole to the back of the head, buried in a shallow grave outside of Fairbanks, Alaska in 93. So this is a guy who, this guy at this point had been dead for 18 years or 20 years at this point. So Rachel Maddow brings on Max Blumenthal to basically besmirch and shit on the legacy of a guy who's been dead for 20 years who can't defend himself, just so that they could shit on Sarah Palin. And it's like, you're a piece of shit. You, Rachel Maddow, everybody involved with this piece is a piece of shit. And I've given Blumenthal, and I know people close to him at the Gray Zone, and people who have presented him with, hey, you should have this discussion with this guy Leighton, because he wants to clear the air on this. I've given him every opportunity to come have a conversation and say, hey, listen, I was getting paid to do this story. It is what it is. He could apologize at any point in time and go back on what he said. He chooses not to.
Yeah,
he's like, all right,
he's avoiding the debate.
Exactly. And so I will, and if I see him at the Rage Against the War Machine here in Grand Rapids, you best believe my camera's out. I've got a press pass, and I'm fucking walking up to that dude.
Well, then let's go. What's your plug, Leighton?
Oh, I'm gonna be doing. My plugs are all always the same. I'll do stuff on this channel for
Libertarian plug, the one at Grand Rapids.
Oh, I'm going to be going to Grand Rapids for the Libertarian Party convention and the surrounding events that are going around there. I don't know if I'm going to run for anything within the party at this point. I've floated the idea of running for at-large for the LNC, but I don't know yet at this point. I think I have the votes if I wanted to. I would hope so, anyway. So I don't know what I'll do at this point on that end, but I am going, so... thanks to the Swampcast guys, by the way. Go subscribe to the Swampcast channel on YouTube, and go search them out on Twitter. They're paying for half of my flight, them and their viewers. So
Swampcast?
Yeah, they're a bunch of Florida guys, Florida libertarian guys I've known forever.
Well, I'm Cajun, so send me the link. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, I'll shoot you. I'll send you a link to their show. You'll probably like them. You'll get along with their group.
Yeah, and I'm Cajun as fuck. So let's go.
Yeah, and then so Vogler. The story really is that Vogler disappeared and then was eventually found having been killed. And
how's the investigation been going?
Well, I have at this point a good chunk of what will be turned into the book done, and I've got the script for a new documentary finished on it. And the end result, I mean, my opinion has not changed. My opinion is that I think if he was killed by Manfred West was not the only person involved. I believe that very likely he was killed in the post-war cleanup of the sort of Cold War, because this was in 92, 93, right after the Cold War came to the end. Alaska was seen as a huge asset. So this guy who's pushing for independence, who's trying to go argue in front of the UN, is a bad look for the US government. And I think that he made himself a pretty meaningful target for people like the CIA and Alan Dulles, who was running things at the time.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Oh yeah, Real Swampcast on YouTube, everybody. That's the channel.
Yes. All right. I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah,
but
for sure. What other questions you got?
What? I'm sorry. What?
Let's go through some questions if you got some Alaska stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I do. All right. So first of all, the salmon run, in your opinion, with salmon run, is it okay or not okay to pull a salmon out of the river and kill it quickly and then eat it raw out of the river like a bear?
Well, depends on where you're at, but for most of the areas where people fish, no. And so the reasoning there is kind of weird. So if you're up in the mountains, you're up in an area that's non-populated, if you're away from, sort of modern stuff, then I'd say yes. But the problem is a lot of the areas where there are towns and groups of people who've been living for a while in Alaska, you have a lot of petroleum use and you have a lot of military activity that goes on and other things. And so the problem there is that you end up with the water there is not all the best in the inlets. And then on top of it, the just ground itself and soil itself, soaks up a lot of that petroleum, a lot of the just biofuels.
So you're running the risk of like penis fish.
Yeah. Well, it's also deeper than that. So it's also that the closer you get to those modern populations, the more you get worms. And this has been pretty well tracked. This is why I don't eat bear. And this is something that, a lot of people have. So the bear eat the salmon, and salmon will occasionally have worms. These are technically what you would consider parasites. They don't last very long, so a lot of times they're not really considered parasites, but they're these pinworms that you get in salmon, and those are typically found closer to populated areas than they are in rural areas of the state. And so the bears that eat they eat all these berries, and then they eat mostly salmon. The bears that eat primarily salmon diets are riddled with worms. And I will never eat. You will never catch me eating bear meat that comes from those animals, even if they're cooked thoroughly. It doesn't matter.
A bear to begin with. Like I have heard enough, because like I'm only just learning, like I'm going to be hunting like hopefully this year and learning all of that. I was a butcher for a while and obviously raised.
That's very useful if you're going to hunt. That's the part of hunting that most people can't get over, is the actually cutting up the animal and processing it. And so if you've done butcher work before, that you'll have an easy time of it. I mean, that's I would argue the easy part of hunting for the most part is shooting the thing. The hard part is actually knowing how to process it and do it yourself if you're going to do it yourself.
Gotta pee real quick again.
All good.
But
Don't worry.
I have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit here. I'll give some plugs and stuff.
Yeah, just plug.
Yeah, if people want to check out something interesting I'm working on now is when I go to this Libertarian Party convention, I'm going to be filming. I have a press pass. Hindian, of course, in the chat here. Hoping that he makes an appearance and comes hangs out, and we'll try to get him on a video running around the convention with me, bullshitting with people, having fun. You know, I'm taking this one a little bit less serious compared to hello. That's a great chat to have back for you when you come back on.
Hey, what's the link for the podcast, like live?
For the YouTube stream? Oh, is it was I saw it was what Hodge, they're wanting that. I can send it to him in the private chat, that's why.
Yes, please.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just the YouTube stream instead of the StreamYard link. I figured that's what went on there. It happens.
Yeah.
Well, and the problem is I'll have this open a lot of times. So I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I just put it in the private chat and then I put it in the YouTube chat as well. So I think he should be able to find it. I think you froze again too. But you'll be back. Anyway, yeah, so I'll be filming like sort of a mini documentary at the Libertarian Party convention, and then as well I'm going to just be filming some content there with as many people as I can get to hang out and film stuff. I might try to get Hindian or whoever else I have there to maybe man a camera to follow me around as I just ask people if they know who Joe Vogler is and try to educate as many people as possible for like an hour about Joe Vogler stuff, because I think that would be interesting to tie into the documentary I'm making.
You just want to make a softcore interrogation. Yes.
Awesome. And yeah, Hindian will be out at of course at Skankfest and all that. Skankfest is going to be the hang this year. So many cool people going to be chilling with the Skankfest. It'll be awesome. This Libertarian Party convention was a side project. I didn't think I was going this year, but now not only am I going, but I might run for something. So we'll see how it all goes. It'll be
I'm
insane.
voting for you. I'm voting for you. I'll make signs.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I don't know. I try to stay out of politics for the most part, but you know, every once in a while I get interested.
Yeah. No, you're getting in with the libertarians again. I'm sorry. So
Yeah,
if you come, if you come, okay. I want to go out to Alaska and hang out with you. You have to come to New Hampshire and fix our state.
Yeah, I'll come hang out in New Hampshire and check it out. I definitely want to see that whole area. And as far as Alaska goes, what's great about me being, if I move down to lower 48 temporarily and stuff too, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, I know the state so well, I can take people up to Alaska and be tour guide very easily because I know the whole area and know the, you know, fun stuff and the touristy stuff and how to separate the two, you know.
That was my question. Like, that was another one of my many questions. Like, because I'm very driven toward the like hunting, fishing. I don't want to go on guided tours. I'm probably just going to get kicked out, being also like a hick and
I get that.
They're just like, oh well, this is our trail. Don't touch anything. I'm like, I'm touching everything.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer the way to absorb Alaska is best to not do any of that. It's to go to places where people normally wouldn't go. Frankly, the tourist cities, to stay outside of those areas and to go to the towns that people don't see as tourist towns,
Yeah.
is probably the best way to get the state. Most of the parks and places like that, there aren't really guided tours and stuff. So you
I
don't really have to
yeah, I
worry
don't
about
want
that.
the guided tour. I don't want the
Right.
guided tour. It was like I think it was like Friday night. I went to a place I've never been before, out in the woods. Uh, I had a flashlight and got drunk as hell, and still navigated myself on the trail just fine, no problem. I don't want to do like guided tours because I'm just going to be mean and
Have a good night,
belligerent
Dave.
the entire time. Like we
Yeah.
didn't talk about it because like I mentioned like I'm Cajun. Insubordination is in my blood. You know Cajun, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very Cajun, raised Cajun. So we're just mean to authority. Where it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is how you have to do things. It's like, nay, I want to have fun. Fuck
Yep.
off.
Yeah. Well, I like that, like, I don't know, and hick or kind of, backwood or whatever, in Alaska, we kind of just, the kind of rural living, that kind of concept of living, like, I don't need much to be happy. If I have a little
Exactly.
piece of property with a place that's comfortable enough, like, I'd much rather have a lot of land with a little hobble on it that's not necessarily the nicest place, if it means that I can have a bunch of property and not have to worry about people being around me and horse shit. And I can go out and blow something
Exactly.
up if I want to and kind of, have fun.
Yeah. Because, like, even right now, like, I have a very, very tiny bedroom. And, like, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Um, I
Well,
just, like,
growing up in the cabin like I did, I'm used to small spaces. So,
yeah, it's like, I don't need a lot. I'd like a decent kitchen. I think that's my only thing is that
yeah,
I
I
need a
like
decent
cooking.
kitchen because I like to cook.
Yeah, I love cooking and baking because I grew up around it. So it's just like I
Yeah,
have to have a good
I
kitchen.
want a kitchen. Yeah, I definitely want a kitchen, but like bathroom, bedroom, whatever,
Definitely.
even like living room, it's like, well, I'm having fun on my bed with my books and my
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch. So I don't know. I don't necessarily need a living room. I haven't been out there in for like three 3 weeks. I haven't been in the living room. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't I'm used to like small spaces, confined spaces and like cabin living, that kind of whole thing. I like
Right.
cabins in general because they're strong and they last forever and they're not really hard to clean and
I
big
I just
square.
want it to be convenient. I want it to be strong. I want it to be sturdy. And I'm just gonna do my own thing wherever I would like, whether that be in bed or uh, outside. So yeah.
Definitely. All right, well, what other questions you got on your list? You got another one you want to run down? Let's go.
So also in your area specifically, because I know you're on the Kenai,
Kenai
and then
Peninsula. Yeah.
yeah. What's your food like?
Oh, we have a lot. Well, in Seward, in this whole area, you have a lot of the better fish. So we have a lot of halibut, a lot of snapper, cod,
Snapper.
rockfish,
Rock.
salmon. You know, those are sort of the staple fish that we have here. And then you get a lot of burgers, a lot of really good burgers around this area too, to be honest.
Really?
It's beef and fish are pretty much the main staples of Alaska, more than anything else.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly, we have good beef. We have cattle ranches in Palmer, Alaska. We're over in the area where I grew up, and they have really good beef. Back in the day, here in Seward, and I have some of the historical books here somewhere. There used to actually be a cattle ranch here, and there used to even be. I do have it right here. So this is an original Seward Dairy bottle cap made of paper, and this is from the 1940s, and this is what would have been
hell?
and this would have been on the top of the glass milk jars that would have been delivered to your house. And if you look really carefully, you can see that it says Seward, Alaska there by the cow's feet. And that was dairy product. These were actually shipped out of Seward, Alaska. And this was a major pasteurized milk company that was here for years. There's a place here called Dairy Hill, which was where all those cows live. Famously, the guy who owned that farm used to put yellow rain jackets on all of his cows because it rains so much here that it would be needed. But yeah, I mean, so we had lots of beef here back in the day. We still do today. Crab is obviously a big one. Yeah, Hindian points that out in the chat. Definitely. Crab is a big one. Lobster too, but lobster less so than crab. Crab is definitely main staple. Crab's bigger in Anchorage and Fairbanks. In Seward, you see a lot more. You see a lot more fish than you do, like crustaceans or shrimp and things like that. But once you get into Anchorage, where the fancy restaurants are, you'll see a lot of that. I'm sure Eli will be back in a second. There she is.
Sorry. Crab is big in Anchorage.
Yeah, so crab and like crustaceans are going to be bigger in the bigger cities here, whereas in the smaller towns that are like fishing towns, like what I'm in Seward, which is like a giant fishing town. That's what we are, or Whittier. You're going to see less crab, less shrimp and lobster, and more of the salmon, the cod, the snapper. My favorite fish is actually snapper and rockfish, which are the two fish that people here throw back.
Yes.
People pull rockfish is seen as like the shittiest fish here, not because it's bad.
It's
the best. Dude, Cajun fried rockfish or Cajun fried snapper is better, in my opinion, than any beer battered cod or halibut you can buy.
Yes,
it's just a better fish.
Cajun blackened rockfish.
Catfish is the same. I love catfish, and it's a fishy fish, but I like snapper and rockfish more than anything. I will take those two over any other fish.
You ever gone noodling?
You know what? I haven't. I've seen people do it, and I've wanted to do it, definitely. I haven't got to spend the type of time in New Orleans and Florida that I really want to. I haven't done the like hillbilly activities and like the kind of hick activities that we have in Alaska. I haven't got the chance to do down there because when I went to Florida, it was all with political people, people in suit and ties who don't want to go do that kind of stuff. But that's what I'm into. I want to go kill lizards and jump around in a swamp,
Yes, because also we have to take out the population of Burmese python and the green iguana.
I've been seeing that. Iguanas. I saw that.
We have to eat them.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy on YouTube I watch, and all he does is go around in a little airboat and shoot iguanas and shows you ways to cook them. And I'm like, I want to do this.
Yeah. Have you ever had gator tail meat?
I have. I've had gator, and it's great. I love it.
So good. It's tasty. I love grilled gator tail.
It's like a chicken fish.
That's
how I described it.
It's like a luxury chicken fish. Luxury chicken
Hindian,
fish.
if you're
And it's like so well seasoned.
Hindian, if you're available, if you want to drop in, I can send you the link if you want to hop on. You can hang out too if you want. I don't know if you're free. But if you are, say so in the chat, I'll send you the link. Yeah. Oh no, this has been a fun show. Been a good, relaxed discussion. That's kind of what I wanted it to be, a little more laid back.
Has it been relaxed, or have we been so ADHD?
Oh no, that's what my show always is. Awesome. I'll send you the link here.
It's so ADHD.
I'm sending it to you on Twitter. Because that's where I have open on my phone.
I'm gonna go to bed. Dude,
Are you,
Leighton, you're the best.
You're jumping off?
I should, because right now for me it's almost 9 o'clock at night, and I have to get up at like 5:15.
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, you should get some rest. You're all
yeah. So it's like
well, have a good night. I'll text you and stuff and everything. So I'll
yeah. I'll text you in a few. I just gotta go like do my nighttime shit.
Yeah, decompress everything after the show. That's always good.
Dude, you are awesome.
No, that's fine. Yeah, have a great night. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Love you, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Bye. And then yeah, Hindian, if you want to join, we can chat a little bit about the convention and stuff coming up and all that. That's fine. Yeah, it's been a crazy week. This has been lots of chaos, lots of strange stuff, but it's been fun enough. I've been enjoying kind of doing these sporadic shows and stuff. I haven't been making enough short content and videos on this channel, and I'm fully aware of that, and we're going to be fixing that soon. Part of that is going on this trip here with Grand Rapids, is I'm going to make some documentary stuff and everything. Hey, Hindian.
What's going on, my friend? How we doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a good night. It's been a lot of randomness this last couple of weeks. I didn't, the Grand Rapids stuff was sort of a last second addition to my plans.
Yeah, that's an interesting pivot, but I agree. This is a good show tonight, dude. You always put on a good performance. I don't want to just dick ride you as soon as I come on, but yeah, you're always good. I see you hold court. I've been checking you out a little more when you make rotations on other people's shows. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying getting more involved in the Leighton verse.
I try to get around as much as I can, but it's I don't know, it's always hard. I used to go on bigger shows when I had a little more clout and a little bit of a bigger content deck to swing, but I haven't been making videos recently, so I don't have the viewership to throw around like I used to. There was a time when I could get interviews that were stupid big, but I need to get back in the swing of things and start going after some comics and stuff and trying to book some of them maybe.
I mean, I think you've been doing a pretty good job. I get we're always hardest on ourselves, but I've been saying this a lot lately, like compared to what are you supposed to be doing? And you're supposed to do whatever you're doing right now at this time, and to question it just throws you into this loop where you're like, oh no, there's some other thing that I'm not focusing on enough that I should be, and no, there's so much overload as is. So
yeah,
dude, like, relax. I think you're doing good enough, and I mean, you don't need me to tell you. I get it. You've like seen those stars before, but that's something you should remind yourself about. You have those accolades already. They can't be taken away. Like, you've already ascended to a point where you should be happy. Like, how much more can you get? And it's good to be hungry, but I look at your hunger in more of a humble place where, again, you're not a climber. You're not out here trying to just be involved in every fucking conversation like some people who, I don't mean to come on here and I'm not going to drop names, but the last couple weeks I've been annoyed by some of you motherfuckers who you think that you should have a voice or you should get involved in things, and you shouldn't. You should just stay out of shit. And if you're a fan, be a fan. And if you're trying to be in this world, be in this world. But stop doing the 1 foot in, 1 foot out shit and decide, are you a fan or are you fucking a part of this? And there's rules that come with this shit. Not my rules. I don't make any of this shit up, but some people just act like you're entitled to a conversation with somebody you have no attachment to. And that's me coming from a place of, I don't know a lot of these people who've been showing me love lately, but whatever the fuck I'm doing, this will be my one tiny seed of arrogance. I must be doing something right for people to want to still interact with me over these last months since I've left Skankfest. It's just been a lot of support. I've been overwhelmed. Last couple weeks, I've had like a couple viral posts on X, which that's not normal for me. You know, I've done the whole YouTube. I have 1.5 million plus views on YouTube just from what I used to do. None of that matters to me anymore because, like you've already seen that shit. So what you're doing with like Losercast, for example, I keep saying this to everybody. It's such a good show. You have this very competitive Story Wars thing where the more people that figure out it exists, as funny as that sounds, the more people that get that information word of mouth, hey, the show Losercast is pretty funny. You have people that come on and it's like a game show. They all have somebody they can pick, and there's people that can do like a whammy thing where, oh, I took the guy that you were going to take because you didn't get to go first. So like you have all these cool gotcha mechanics in it, and like, brother, I'm proud of what you're doing. I'm sorry if that's like too much, but you're
the
killing it,
Losercast
bro.
thing has been probably the thing I've been most proud of recently, and I know it's in sort of its infancy as far as YouTube goes and sort of what it is, but I do think it's a good concept. The idea of like the whole concept behind it. I mean, I'm not quiet about it. I basically took the idea of are you garbage and biggest problem in the universe and tried to make it more palatable is sort of the way I put it, more sort of riffable, because I think it allows you to be sort of topical because you can pick something that's the weekly news or you can pick something historical or random or,
Which is what I liked about the episode you and I did with Adam, because I picked something obscure just for the fuck of it. I wanted to share a story, and yeah, you give people the setup to do whatever they want to do. Every episode is unique and different.
Yeah, I try to, and then with this show, it's more of like, random. And I treat this channel more as like my own pet project. So I try to, it's a different vibe over here. It's just more of like what I do, and then the documentaries and stuff.
When you see the Guy Fawkes mask in front of Pepe, you know it's going down. You don't want to get competitive with the Outlawed dots.
Yeah. So it's been fun. I'm excited for this convention because this one will be a bit different. Last time I went, I was a hard ass. I went there being like, I'm gonna wear a suit and tie and do all the thing. I'll wear a suit for the first.
That's so
day,
cool.
I'm going to this one to be more of just laid back. I have a media pass, so my understanding is I can go wherever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be there to film and hang out and talk to people.
I should be able to swing it. I'm 90% right now. I had a lot of shit going on the last couple weeks, so that's why my response seemed vague. I know I'm always like that, but
well, I ended up locking in. I bought my flight and everything last night, so I'm heading out of here on the 20th. I'll land over in Grand Rapids at like 1:15 p.m. on the 21st.
And you said you do have transport or no?
Well, transport from the airport to the hotel or wherever I'm going from there, I don't, but it's not very far, so I'll either
maybe that'll maybe since I'm coming out there, maybe I'll just
if you're already in that area, then that'll work out good. I'll make sure I message you and everybody else beforehand and try to.
Yeah, I gotta start stepping into these shoes. And when you invited me to this, I thought about it. And it's like I could say no and be a lame ass, or I could say yes and go live life a little bit. And that's all you're doing is offering me an opportunity to go do something. So I should get off my fucking ass and make sure I'm available to do it. And It's just some gas in the tank. I got
Yeah,
all my
we'll make
shit
some
stable
fun of
now,
it.
so
There's plenty to do around there, and while I'll be running around the convention and stuff, and I'll have to vote at different points, so you can always hang out and get to at least see what that's like and stuff, and then it'll be cool to have an extra person there to help with filming and crap like that.
I'm gonna be bringing some weed from my old grow because I'm not exactly. I tell everybody now that I'm kind of a loose contractor for them because I'm not the head grower anymore. I stepped away from that. I do something completely different now. But I think I'm gonna bring some of our because we did win an award for some of our shit. You know how weird people are, so I could tell you offline, but we did win an award for our shit one year, and
Cool.
I'm like proud to be able to say
Yeah,
that.
it's legal over there in Michigan, so that's one of the cool spots about this. The last convention was in a place where it wasn't legal. Well, it was, but it's pseudo legal. It's DC.
Oh,
So
kind of
this
like
time,
NOLA, where you got to go get your card at the dispo for
exactly.
free so that you
Yeah.
have impunity to be like, well, I'm good, officer.
Whereas with Michigan, it's like Alaska, it's recreational. So unless you get like caught on the sidewalk in the middle of public, they don't give a fuck.
And in
Like,
most places, even if you're doing that, now it's
they don't
most
care.
cops, yeah, they're just like, hey, can you put that out?
Yeah.
Some cops will like fine you, but getting arrested for that now is far and few between because yeah, like you said, they decriminalized it in Detroit years ago before recreational even went through. They were medical and then decriminalized in Detroit, which was cool, and it was under an ounce. So you have 27 grams, you're not going to jail tonight. Doesn't matter who you are. You got 27 grams and you're pumping the block and you're trying to make, well, then you're just losing the 27 grams and now you go back to the plug and pick up some more and get back at it. You know, that's it. And now that everything's recreational, I think our state's one of the best just because from a consumer standpoint and a business standpoint, the taxes suck. Like I would advise anybody who's thinking about getting into the business, do not come here. Stay as far away from any business with Michigan that you can. And I'll explain a little bit. I don't want to just make this all about weed, but it's very interesting since it came up. This is one of the worst states to start a cannabis business in. The dispensaries probably have a decent chance, but the people who are really making the money are the testing facilities, and testing facilities have already been shut down in this state for violating state laws. One of the most major companies that every major cannabis company that produced, whether it's concentrate or flower or edibles, they went through a company named Viridis, Viridis, and they are banned from this state because they were fabricating the results, which we all understand if you have a batch go bad or you just want to boost up your THC numbers because we're in a market that people were giving them simplified information that's not accurate, saying that this is what THC, when THC is actually a completely different representation, and we're not actually educating people on terpenes and what it all means and what the difference in THC to concentrate. It's just transfer rate. It has nothing to actually do with like increasing the high. It's just increasing how quickly you access the same exact high. And I get real tired with all the false information because in our state that was the idea. You have to have above 30% THC if you want to be able to make more than $1,000 a pound. And I said 1,000. You and I can remember an era because I'm not super old, but you and I both can remember an era where a pound was going for like 2, 3, 4 grand easy. And it depending on the grade, that's where the price fluctuations are. Now, even if you had great shit, if you couldn't get it to test over 30, it could be the most resiny shit with great terps that hit you on your ass, great profile. The receptors in your brain are firing off. Doesn't matter. You're not going to get $1,000 for that. And then you think about how much time and effort goes into that. So you're getting fucked over by the people that are supposed to be your partners in the market so that you can actually have shit that's good that people trust and want to believe in the idea and keep your businesses afloat instead of it all going commercial and you basically having Sam's Club weed. And instead of it being this good, tradership and trust and like, yeah, we'll make sure you get paid, keep bringing us the good shit. You get fucked over. Most of the time you're selling a pound for like 500 to 600. And the reality is the testing companies, they're raking in so much money because not only do you have to give a decent amount of weed to them for free,
Right.
they so you lose that. Then they can tell you if you need to do an additional test and blah blah blah.
I've had people here who do the legal stuff I'm buddies with. Everybody I've known who does the legal shit has ended up basically telling me that they lose 30 to 40% more money than they would have if they were just selling that same stuff on the black market or the gray market.
And Whitmore passed a new law that went into effect this year that a 24% extra tax went.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's wild.
The dispensaries are lying about it. They're telling the consumer that, oh, we have this tax, and no, you asshole, you guys who took advantage of us, the growers, for years, you have no tax, and the grower is paying an additional 24%. So if we sell a pound for $1,000, we got to give the state $240 of that, in addition to everything else we pay to them already. And you don't want to give us a fair amount of money for what we just spent months turning around exclusive genetics. And it's like you hear me getting heated.
Have you ever been to a cash only bar?
Yes.
Right. Well, cash only bars became popular because of taxing. Like, people realize, well, wait a minute, if I just charge cash and I can tell you I made whatever I want in revenue, right? So it's the same fucking idea.
It's funny you brought that up. I got a story, but keep going.
The weed businesses are going to eventually they're being pushed in a situation where you're going to see more fraud and stuff take place too, because
that's already happening.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want you to I don't know how many people know about this, and it's like, do you remember in those same cash only bars, do you remember how I know you're gonna know this. You'd get like a bottle, you'd ask like, hey, I want a shot of Jack, right? And they go and they pour you it from the house bottle. And that's not fucking Jack Daniels. That's the Uncle Elmer's.
Yeah.
And they're bottle swapping. And or like people brewing their own shit, and it's like, motherfuckers don't want to believe this is real, but no, you get a liquor license, and then let's say you just buy a couple of whatever so that you have it on the manifest, but then you got fake Budweiser, you got fake Miller, you got fake Jack Daniels, you got all this shit that's being brewed on the side because they can make more money that way and they don't have to pay all the tax. And you think that the same shit's happening in the dispensaries. Monroe, Michigan is one of the biggest culprits. And sorry to blow the spot on all you dirty motherfuckers, but you guys will have a legal grow take a entire room. And this is, hundreds of plants. And you're killing the room saying that it died to whatever. You're now able to move all these plants that aren't actually tainted. You can move these now for whatever you want and get top dollar for it. And then you can actually move something else into that room that's from the down low, and it looks legit and metric. And some people will act like, but wait, no, fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. You have to see it to understand. And that's why you'll watch people with vans moving big ass bags into regular people's cars, doing multiple transactions. Yep. It's like, we already had good laws here. You could grow up to 8 adults and have as infinite amount of plants in any other stage, Leighton. So if you wanted to have 1,000 plants in veg, as long as those bitches didn't have buds on them,
you're fine.
And you only had 8 in flower, you're good. And I mean, that's good. 15 grams of concentrate for personal use, 2.5 ounces of flour for personal use, and both of those weights are separate. So you can have 15 and 2.5. That's pretty fucking good. And somehow we want to be still doing this dirty shit like it's not good enough. And when it all goes down, they can blame themselves, man. They fucking ran themselves up. It's the same mentality of the dumb fuck who speeds up to the red light.
Yep.
And it's like bug mode, dude. You're not trying to let anybody merge in. Nothing else matters except let me get as fast to that nothing as possible. And there's so much else you can allow to have happen. and it just, yeah, man, the weed industry, that's why I'm not working in it anymore, because there's no stability. How can I be proud of a plant I'm putting all this effort into, and you don't want to give me $1,000 for it, and now I got to pay extra on it? Fuck
Yeah.
you, man. That's why the fucking illegal market's popping off more, bro.
It's not worth the drama half the time, you know.
Nope.
All right.
And
Well, I want to give you a chance. Go ahead and plug your stuff and all that stuff, and I'm gonna kind of close out here. I think this is a good place to.
I appreciate you even letting me slide in. That was a nice little riff
Oh,
we just
yeah.
went on.
No
But
problem. That's perfect.
look, I don't plug much. If you guys want, I did an episode back on Losercast with Adam Nutter. You guys can go check that out. And before I do bop out, I want to praise you on. I'm glad you had Dave on. That's all I'm gonna say. I know
that
you
was
had.
a fun show.
I'm so glad you made that happen, bro.
We'll
that
get
was
you
a
back
personal
on here
thing.
soon too, and we'll have another episode with you on it. So
Yeah, and like I said, if you guys want to check me out, This Is Comedy. We're starting to get popping over there. I've had a lot of support from people, and just I'm really grateful. I know I sound like a jackass sometimes, but I appreciate everybody. Like, it means a lot.
awesome. Yeah, it was great talking to you. I hope everybody has a great night. It's been a good show. I haven't been on here for a while, so we've got some new videos coming out and stuff, and obviously the stuff from the convention will be out soon enough. So I hope everybody enjoyed. Take it easy.
Later, people.